We're here in a world where all hope seems lost. Greater is He who resides in us. God, we stand unshaken.
Hey there, welcome to the sermon preview for this week. I'm Nick and I'm with Morgan here today. And this week we are jumping into a brand new sermon series for the next 8 weeks. So Morgan, tell us, what is the series that we're jumping into and what are we looking at?
Yeah, so we are jumping into a series called Unshaken. So it's going to be 1 Thessalonians.
Yes, 1 Thessalonians. So 1 Thessalonians is a letter that was written by Paul to the Thessalonians. And so Morgan, as we were looking at this letter that Paul wrote, why did we choose the word unshaken to describe this series?
Yeah, so when Paul was writing this letter to the Thessalonians, he was talking about the unshaken faith that they had.
Right, so like they were in a pretty hostile environment. We actually see in Acts chapter 17 that when Paul was there and was developing or planting this church in Thessalonica, that after I think it's like 3 weeks, he pretty much got run out of town. So this church was born into a really hostile persecution type of environment. And so Paul is getting these reports that they are steadfast in their faith and all of these different things. And so he's thankful for them. And in fact, the passage that we're going to look at this week is 1 Thessalonians 1 verses 1 through 10. So it's just that first chunk of verses from this letter. And in this letter, we see that he is giving a prayer of thanksgiving for specifically for their faith, for their love, and for their steadfastness in hope. And so he's giving God the thankfulness in how they have stayed unshaken in the midst of this really tough environment. So Morgan, the other part of this passage that we're going to focus on this week is when Paul, he looks at the Thessalonians and he kind of reminds them of the effect that the gospel had on them. So Morgan, as we look at this, maybe as you think about the effects that you've seen the gospel have on people, what are different ways that the gospel, the power of the gospel has changed people?
Well, the gospel gives them joy, gives them peace, it gives them encouragement, endurance.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the main points.
Yeah, for sure. We see, even lifestyle changes and just different ways of living physically, but also emotionally and spiritually, and what they're focused on. And so we see what we're going to see for this Sunday specifically is we're going to see the changes or the effects that the gospel had on the Thessalonians, the people of Thessalonica, the church in this city. And again, Paul is thanking God for the gospel and the power and the changing effect that it had on these people. And I think there's a lot for us to learn in that as we look at them and we notice their unshaken faith and we see, okay, what does this mean for us? How can we live in a world that I think we could classify as having some turmoil and things that could sway us one way or the other, or distract us, or push or pull us? Like, how do we live unshaken, focused on the word, focused on the gospel? But then also, how do we reflect back and look at how has the gospel affected us? How have we been affected by the good news of Jesus? And that testimony, that change, gives us the opportunity to speak to the power of the gospel. So some really great stuff this week. I'm excited to start this Sunday in this new series. So one maybe special thing that's happening this Sunday is World Communion Sunday. It's a wonderful Sunday in which we get to participate in this act of worship and receiving communion, with participating and joining in with those across the world. And so foot washing will be an option as well. And then there will be a fellowship meal to follow after Sunday school for this week. So looking forward to this Sunday. I hope you are as well. We'll see you then.
Nothing to fear in the